Good day, everyone. I am Mafit Casey Timbal, fourth year college of Mindanao State University, and my topic is all about data collection methods. So, what is data? Data are the set of values of qualitative or quantitative variables about one or more persons or objects. Data are simply units of information. Data are measured, collected, reported, analyzed, and used to create data visualizations such as graphs, table, or images. Quantitative data, it is based on the mathematical calculations using various formats like close-ended questions, correlation and regression methods. Mean, median, or mode measures. This method is cheaper than qualitative data collection methods, and it can be applied in a short duration of time. For the qualitative data, it does not involve any mathematical calculations. This method is closely associated with elements that are not quantifiable. This qualitative data collection method includes interviews, questionnaires, observations, case studies, and etc. There are several methods to collect this type of data. What is data collection? It is the process by which the researcher collects the information needed to answer the research problem. The task of data collection begins after a research problem has been defined. In collecting the data, the researcher must decide which data is to collect, how to collect the data, who will collect the data, and when to collect the data. The purpose of data collection is to obtain information, to keep on record, to make decisions about important issues, to pass information on to others. So there are two types of methods of data collection. First one is the primary data. Primary data are those which are collected for the first time and are originally in character. For the secondary data are those which have already been collected by someone else. Primary data versus secondary data are real-time, sure about sources, can answer research question, cost and time, can avoid bias, and more flexible. For the secondary data, past data, not sure about sources, refining the research problem, cheap and no time, bias can be ruled out, and less flexible. So primary data may be collected through observation, surveys, interviews, questionnaires, and schedules. In observation data, it is a method under which data from the field is collected with the help of observation by the observer or by personally going to the field. There are steps for an effective observation. One is determine what needs to be observed, select participants randomly or selected, conduct the observation, compile data collected, analyze and interpret data collected. There are types of observation methods. The structured observation. When the observation is characterized by a careful definition of the units to be observed predefined, the style of recording the observed information, standardized conditions of observation, and the selection of related data of observation. Number 2 is unstructured observation. When it takes place without the above characteristic not predefined. Number 3 is participant observation. When the observer is a member of the group which he is observing, then it is participant observation. Non-participant observation, when the observer is not the member of the group which he is observing, then it is non-participant observation. Observer is observing people without giving any information to them, then it is not non-participant observation. Uncontrolled observation, when the observation takes place in natural condition. Uncontrolled observation, it is done to get a spontaneous picture of life and persons. Controlled observation, when observation takes place according to prearranged plans with experimental procedure, then it is controlled observation, generally done in laboratory under controlled condition. Advantages of observation data. It produces large quantities of data. All data obtained from observation are usable. The observation technique can be stopped or begun at any time. Relative inexpensive. Disadvantage of observation of method. Interviewing selected subjects may provide more information economically than waiting for the spontaneous occurrence of the situation. Extensive training is needed. Limited information. One of the widely used research designed to collect data is surveys. How to collect primary information through this survey. A researcher can collect information either by observation or by asking. When he or she asks for information, we say that he or she is conducting a survey. Survey method is a technique of gathering information by questioning. Those individuals who are the object of the research belong to a representative sample through a standardized or questioning procedure with the aim of studying the relationship among the variables and or collecting information that probably describe the whole population. There may be different ways to conduct surveys, as you can see at the diagram below. Interview method. The interview method of collecting data involves the presentation of oral verbal stimuli and reply in terms of oral verbal responses, where the questions are asked personally direct to the respondent. Interview asks questions to respondent which are aimed to get information required for study. So there are steps for an effective interview. Prepare interview schedule, select subjects, key respondents, conduct the interview, analyze and interpret data collected from the interviews. So there are types of interview methods. Number one is structured interview. In this case, a set of pre-decided questions are there. So for the unstructured interviews, in this case, we don't follow a system of determined questions. Number three, it's focus group interview. Unstructured and free-flowing, focus group has one moderator. Moderator maintains control and focuses discussion. It involves 6 to 10 people. Group interviews start with broad topic and focus in a specific issues. Relative homogeneous. Similar lifestyle and experiences generate discussion and interaction. Listen to what people have to say. Everyone gets a chance to speak. Clinical interview is information is generated and utilized at every step of this process, including the activities of investigation, observation, monitoring, diagnosis, planning, treatment, and review. They also record their plans, orders, procedures performed, observations, test results, opinions, and discussion. 5 is group interviews. It is done in a group of 6 to 8 individuals is interviewed. Qualitative and quantitative interviews, it is divided on the basis of subject area, whether qualitative or quantitative. Individual interviews meets a single person and interviews him. Selection interviews done for selection of people for certain jobs. Advantages of interview method. More information at greater depth can be obtained. Resistance may be overcome by a skilled interviewer. Personal information can be obtained. So there are disadvantages of interview method. It is an expensive method, interviewer bias, respondent bias, on time consuming. So for its questionnaires, the term questionnaire refers to an instrument for the collection of data, usually in writing form consisting of open, closed questions and other inquiries requiring a response from subjects. A question is sent by post or by mail to the person concerned with the request to answer the question and return the questionnaire. A questionnaire consists of a number of questions which printed in a definite order on a form. So there are steps for an effective questionnaire. Prepare questions, select your respondents, administer the questionnaire, tabulate data collected, analyze and interpret data collected. So there are types of questionnaire methods. Open-ended questions. This gives the respondent the ability to respond in their own words. Close-ended or fixed alternative questions. This allows the respondents to choose one of the given alternatives. Types of dichotomous questions and multiple questions. Essentials of good questionnaire should be short and simple. Follow a sequence of questions from easy to difficult one. Technical terms should be avoided. Should provide adequate space for answers in questionnaires. Direction regarding filling of questionnaire should be given physical appearance, quality of paper, color. Sequence must be clear. So there are advantages of questionnaire method. Low cost even when the universe is large and it's widespread. Free from interviewer bias. Respondents have adequate time to think through the answers. Respondents who are not easily approachable can also be reached conveniently. Large samples can be used. Disadvantages of questionnaire method. Time consuming. The respondents need to be educated and comparative. This method is low. Possibility of unclear replies. So number 5 is schedules. It is very similar to questionnaire method. The main difference is that a schedule is filled by the enumerator who is specially appointed to the purpose. Enumerator goes to the respondents, asks them the questions from the questionnaire is and the other listed, and records the responses in the space provided. Enumerator must be trained in administering the schedule. So questionnaire versus schedule. Questionnaire generally sent through email and no further assistance from sender, while schedule is filled by the enumerator or research worker. Questionnaire is cheap method. Non-responsive is high in questionnaire. It is not confirmed that expected respondent have filled the answer. For the schedule, closely requires field workers. Non-response is low. In schedule, identity of person is known. Very slow method, incomplete and wrong information is more. No personal contacts, depends on the quality of questionnaire. Questionnaire can use only when respondent is educated and well cooperative. While for the schedule, information is collected well on time. It depends on honesty of the enumerator, direct personal contacts, relatively more correct and complete. Information can be collected from illiterates also. Secondary data collection methods, data gathered and recorded by someone else. Secondary data is data that has been collected for another purpose. It involves less cost, time, and effort. Secondary data is data that is being reused, usually in a different context, for example, data from a book. Secondary data can be an immediate and cost-effective means to gaining valuable insight into research issues. And provided that the information comes from reliable and timely sources. By Sandy Bautista. So sources of secondary data collection. Internal sources of secondary data are usually for marketing application, sales records, marketing activity, cost information, distributor preference and feedback, customers' feedback. External sources of secondary data, journals, books, magazines, newspaper, libraries, the internet. Secondary data sources, publications of central, state, local government, technical and trade journals, books, magazine, newspapers, report and publications of industry, bank, stock exchange, reports made by research scholars, university economists, public records. Factors to be considered before using secondary data. Reliability of data, who, when, which method, and what time, etc. must be investigated. Suitability of data, object, scope, and other of original inquiry should be studied as if the study was still different objective when the data is not suitable for current study. adequacy of data, level of accuracy, area differences, then data is not adequate for study. Collection of proper method for collection of data, nature, scope, and object of inquiry, availability of funds, time factor, accuracy required. Advantages of secondary data method, ease of access, low cost to acquire, clarification of research question, may answer research question. Disadvantages of secondary data method, quality of research not specific to researchers' needs, incomplete information not timely. So I have here a quote by Danielle Keys Moran. You can have data without information, but you cannot have information without data. So that's all for today. Thank you.